Hi, Muchismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Please like, subscribe, share, give a thumbs up for this video if you found it helpful, and pass it on if you believe someone else will benefit from it. I'd appreciate that. You know you are bothersome as an empath. Anyway, unawakened or awakened, you are very bothersome to those, both narcissists and many times to those who are not awake. And it's nothing personal, and all of us here who are awake and aware of what this entity really looks like and what it is at the core will tell you this. We will tell you this. This is not something you were just randomly chose for abuse for. You were deliberately chosen, but it's nothing personal against you. You were just the next in line. You're the next in line among many before you and many that are going to come after you. So getting that out of the way, you're very bothersome. You are very bothersome to those that know you know. So I thought about the ex I was dating, the German girl I talk about often. She was from Germany, and that's why I just call her the German girl. I don't want to use her name out of the dignity for myself because I could. I told you guys she has a tattoo of my name on her private part. I did tell you that, and I needed to emphasize that, and I often emphasize that to tell you, to show you how the depths of what some of these narcissists will go out of desperation, because for a lot of them, if you're grade A supply and you start backing away, disengaging, they will do the extremes, such as go and get a tattoo of your name or a tattoo of your image on their buttocks, on their back, on their breast. And if it's a man, I don't know, he would get a tattoo of your name, I would assume. So at this point, when I'm dating this German girl, I know she's dumber than a box of rocks. I know she's slow. I find that out very quickly. And I'm using strong words here just to emphasize, to cut through the chase. Not a mean man, but I love to emphasize for good measure. She was dumb as a box of rocks. That's just was the way it was. She was very slow in many ways. And the reason why I now know that is because they don't grasp or care to concentrate on things of true meaning. So they don't care enough about things to really learn them and grow and develop like you and I. And this is a narcissist. They will mimic good behavior. They will mimic academic astuteness. Some of them are very, very, because they're robotic. They can grasp something or emulate, copy. Those who excel in copy, sometimes, if to the untrained eye, they are stellar. But there's always glitches. There's always not so much glitches. There are always errors in their behavior. But again, unawakened, looking at them, even the mistakes they make here and there, and when they make mistakes, it's catastrophic to the company or whatever. But most people will give them a pass because their good deeds outweigh that mistake. So dating this girl, it was off on mostly me disengaging and not wanting to put up with the foolishness because it just didn't make sense, some of the stuff she was doing. I mentioned a few years ago, she would up and go to the bathroom in the nighttime, and I would be laying there in my bedroom and 20, 30 minutes go by and I go to the kitchen probably to get something to drink, or in many cases a couple of times to see what was going on, if she was okay. My back door was wide open, and then going down the stairs, all the other doors leading to the outside door, including the outside door, were wide open. This idiot would essentially sneak out of the house and go back to her house, which was not far from where I live right here now, maybe a 10-minute drive, with no explanation, no excuse. And I would call her phone. She wouldn't answer it. One occasion or twice when she first started doing this, because when I met her, she would tell me she had anxieties. And this is why I capitalize on this anxieties and the ADHD and all of these mental health issues that narcissists used as smoke screens. And this is what they do when they meet you, because they got to tell you this stuff when they meet you, because this sets them up to be able to get a pass or get a do-over when they make bumbling mistakes or do something just straight 110% stupid. You would say, hey, what's the issue? You know, I told you I got this, or I deal with this. And so as a Awakened Empath, if someone I was to meet had a dilemma like that, I would really, really scrutinize. And it's just the way it is, because unfortunately, whether it's a bona fide mental health issue or it's a narcissist hiding behind it, I'm not here to try to figure it out. So when they tell you this out the gate, this is what they're doing. And so she would leave my house. And in the morning, she would call me before she went to work. Hi, I'm sorry for last night. Have a good day. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. And that's another thing when you meet people who end up being narcissists, or narcissists now that you know what narcissists look like and who they are. If you find somebody and you meet someone, a mate or a possible dating partner, and they start rattling off how much they love God, this and that, and they start overselling the product. Oh, God first, this, that, and the other. As opposed to just demonstrating to you very practical appreciation for God being center of their life. I'm still practicing practicality as a believer. I don't need to oversell the product. If you don't believe I believe in God, I believe in God still. That is what I'm all about. And I would hope that the person that I meet has a very straightforward, practical, no nonsense approach to their faith. And so she would say, have a blessed day, hang the phone up. I'm getting to a bigger point here, guys. This is when I wasn't even awake. I didn't even know anything about this. Had I known about narcissistic personality disorder, I wouldn't have married this third wife. But anyway, when I began to date this German girl, I was already in and out of court with this twins' mom, which still on that rodeo. Got court Monday. But the difference in going to court Monday is it's going to be different than the whole 15 years put together. And I won't share that in detail, but at some point I will. This individual, I confided, and this is something I want you guys to know, when you meet a new partner, whatever you've gone through, now that you're awake, the last thing you want to do is begin to just share any specific details. And I say any, I'm emphasizing the word any specific details. It's okay for you to just nonchalantly say, yeah, I dated a girl 4 or 5 years ago or 6 months ago. Didn't work out. And if they inquire anymore, just say, I learned a lot about myself through that relationship. Just keep it on you. I wouldn't even allude to the details of who they were. Now, if that person pries and pries and pries, just excessively unending, depending on that vibe you're getting from them, if they seem like they're transparent enough to really sincerely are inquisitive, you can share something. Just say we couldn't get along, and it was just better that we just go our separate ways. Keep it very nonchalant, one or two statements. That should be enough, because you're in the process of trying to get to know them. You're analyzing and observing them just as they are you. And the reason why I'm telling you not to do that is because almost every relationship, including the twins' mom, you and your truth telling, transparent, authenticity, you share the truth. And what happens is, and what has happened over my 10, 15 years of engaging with these individuals, relationships, every time, every single relationship, the last two before I married the third wife, they ended up using or attempting to use the information I gave them in confidence as leverage. And I proceed. The German girl, unbeknownst to me, was reaching out to the twins' mom, and they had began to form some kind of secret bond behind my back. It was one instance I had to go to court for the twins. With the twins' mom. And this was all custody stuff because she's a bumbling specimen. I go into court and I see her, the German girl, and the baby mama sitting side by side holding hands. What they're attempting to do is try to double up and make me look like that villain. And what their excuse was, or what their claim was, abuse. With no evidence, they wanted to claim abuse. And of course, me being transparent, I told and divulged to them that, at one point in my life, when I was an alcoholic, I did some things. I went through some things with my wife, and I gave them some details. That's never been something I've been proud of, but I've never walked away from the fact that this thing has happened in my life, because that's a big part of who I was. So she's sitting in the courtroom, and even before I awaken, guys, I walk over and tell them 10 of you demons couldn't beat me. And I was speaking this way before I even knew what narcissist was. Defiantly. Just why they hate you. Because even before you awakened, empaths, chosen ones, it was a certain demeanor you had. You only tolerated a certain amount of BS. And even though you tolerated way more than you should have, you didn't know that they were doing things deliberate. But some things they did, when they didn't line up, you called it out. And you wrote that line in the sand. Disinfuriated them behind your back, unbeknownst to you. And so, inevitably, I ended that relationship with the German girl. And even when it ended, I did not know anything about narcissistic personality disorder. So the best thing that has ever happened to you is both meeting the narcissist and having the narcissist push and shove and pour on the pressure until it awakened you. Those two things together are the best things that ever could have happened to you. Because you're never, ever going to see things the same. We know this. But more importantly, you're going to continue. you're going to continue to question everything, whether subconsciously, consciously, deliberately, verbally, casually, observation-wise. It's an innateness, just like your empathy. That's just another skill you have learned or awakened. That's another skill that's been awakened in you, gift, if you will. Because a lot of people know about narcissism, but they don't have the gift that empaths have. The gift is from God. It's an awakening, unlike any other type of awakening. But you have to realize, if you don't continue to elevate, educate, and vibrate your awareness, it is very possible that you could fall back asleep. And in falling back asleep, though there are things that could perpetuate that, such as becoming too laxed, not staying in tune with things that happen around us on the highways and byways when you're out and about, putting on blinders, acting like it ain't my problem, I'm not going to pay that no attention. Things happen in front of you for a reason. I'm not saying go over and beyond, go out of your way, peeping out your window, digging up old bones. I'm not talking about that. When things are presented to you in the forefront, in your presence, pay attention, observe these things for what they are. Don't dumb them down. Because, as I said in the beginning, you are bothersome to narcissists, as well as many times people who are not yet awake. Get used to it. It is just the way it is. That is just life. As a content creator for 5 years, I am not concerned about numbers. I appreciate every single subscriber and non-subscriber, even people who view this content and this material. I'm here to provide what I can provide. And it's a voice. I'm here to speak about some things that I know some people already know about, but I'm here to put it in context, to put it in verbal context, to speak it out in the air. So those who are struggling with trying to cope with understanding this may feel a little more better about themselves, to the point where that guilt tripping that the narcissist loaded you up with, you don't have to continue to be stagnated in that. You can dig yourself out of that emotional distress. That's all I want to do here. I want people to wake up just like me. I want people who are awake to maintain awareness, to maintain their vibration and elevate it as they're educating. Read my mission statement under my YouTube title name. And that is what I'm here for. So we don't repeat the things that we already went through. And I've repeated it a couple of times in my life before I awakened. And I got involved and entangled, short-lived, of course, with a few narcissists post-awakening. This was shortly after pandemic in the country opened back up. I tried my hand in, dating. Most of these interactions lasted all but a week or two. That was the extent of it. So that shows you how bothersome you are. I was getting it. I got it. It became very apparent to me. When you sit around people awakened, you don't have to even open your mouth. They know. They know. And they are very cynical of you awakened. You got to understand, they are always constantly looking for something in the way you speak, in the way you do things. Because when you were with them, you got to understand, they wanted to make it look like you were just accident prone to begin with. And you might have been in some cases. It's not what made you. It's not what made you. It's not what broke you. But they continue to try to overanalyze that, overemphasize these things, because what it did, it took the emphasis off of their shortcomings. Now awakened, we can call their shortcoming out as it is, because we don't need to point their shortcomings out to elevate ourselves. We're pointing them out because that is exactly what they come to do to you. Without you, they're dead in the water. Understand that. But they are bothered by you at the same time. Isn't that the craziest thing? They are bothered by you. So unless you understand this, guys, you'll continually try to change the way you do business, the way you live, the way you move, simply because you want to dot your I's and cross your T's for those people and those things and those entities around you and outside of you. Be okay with what you're doing. And if you're not where you want to be, if you're just determined, you'll get there. That being said, bless.